The roots of the gender pay gap are deeper than discrimination. So says the QZ.com. I'm Jason McNeil. This is Cup of Joe. Let's discuss it. All right, so obviously, as you're aware, there's a narrative in the mainstream media and out there about a gender pay gap, saying that men and women get paid differently for the same jobs. Now, you'll hear even progressives like Justin Trudeau will say things like, we're past the time when a man and a woman are working side by side in the same job and a man is earning more than a woman. That's not the type of gender discrimination we're talking about anymore. That's not the type of pay gap we're talking about anymore. So what is the pay gap we're talking about? And if it's not gender discrimination causing it, what's causing it? So it says that gender discrimination is not the culprit. It seems what is the culprit is workplace inflexibility. That's what the article sort of posits. So it comes down to workplace inflexibility, which hurts women more than men. Now, it points out there's been progress. You probably know, like back in the 60s when the whole movement started, they said women earned 60 cents on the dollar to every man. So for every dollar a man earned, a woman only earned 60 cents. They say today, for every dollar a man earns, a woman earns 82 cents. So there's been a substantial amount of progress made in the gender wage gap, and probably that's been made by ending a lot of the discrimination that's been historical with the less likely to get hired, less likely to get promoted, less likely, all these things that were historically there. As we've sort of jumped those hurdles and closed those loopholes or whatever, we've had a closing of the gap. But it's still at 82 cents, which is obviously not perfect. The article also points out that even in Scandinavian countries, which are sort of widely accepted as being the most gender equal, there's still a pay gap of 15% between men and women. So what would cause that, and why? What do we do about it, and do we have to do anything about it, would be the questions. So by looking at the article, it points out that in early life, because it splits into different demographics, and it points out that single men and women early in their careers with no children, there's no wage gap. In fact, by hourly wages, women earn slightly more than men in many industries as young, single, no children people, right? But there's a drastic change when women get married and or have children. A small non-existent pay gap becomes a large, very obvious pay gap for married women with children. Now, my first problem with this, and it's an ideological issue, is they always talk about, like men and women and the pay gap and being able to, earn your way and whatnot. To me, that is supposed to be a discussion we're having about single men and single women, because they're on their own, they're trying to make it, they're trying to survive, they need to earn their own living. Once they get married, that's a team of people, that's a couple, right? That's a family now. And so if the man is earning and the woman is staying home, or vice versa, I don't look at it like that man is earning a certain amount and the woman is earning nothing. Right? That's why when in the federal election, when Stephen Harper and the conservatives were talking about income splitting, I was all for it, because I believe we need to promote that as an image of a family, right? People put it off as all for rich people. No, it's for a specific type of family choice that you make. You want to have a person that is earning the income as the main breadwinner, and you want to have a person that can spend more time at home, making the home and raising the family, and that choice shouldn't be penalized. And that person is still now, or these people are still included in this group of men versus women. So the husband and the wife are competing instead of cooperating, right? Because that's a man and that's a woman, and they're in a house and one is earning more than the other, so that's a wage gap. But it's not. They're splitting that and sharing it and running a family. So to me, that should be off the table completely, right? We should remove them from the equation. But we don't, and it continues on, and it points out that as women get married and men get married and they have children, women start to make different choices than men. And that leads to, a large part of the explanation of what the wage gap is. So, what it points out in the article, as men and women make different choices about how to spend their time, workplace inflexibility harms women more. Basically saying, look, men work more hours. I believe the average is 41 to 35. Men are more flexible in the hours they'll work. Not to say women won't work overtime. There's a point in the article that says, if given 3 weeks notice, 3 weeks or 3 months, men and women will work comparable overtime. But if they call you today and say, can you work overtime on Saturday, men will work the overtime generally and women will choose not to. So there becomes the issue of, okay, is it okay for women to make those choices? And if women are making those choices and our numbers don't add up, what do we do about that, right? So that's sort of where it becomes a problem for me, is I think when we're talking about the equality and getting the wage gap down, we've stopped looking at removing barriers because they've been removed. We've stopped looking at equal rights because we have equal rights. And now we're looking at, you know what, we're unhappy with the choices women are making as free people in our society. And when you get to that, it starts to become a little authoritarian, and trying to get these numbers to be exact becomes a little perverse in my estimation. That's what I make of it. That's my take on the wage gap, I guess. I'd love to know what you guys think. Feel free to hit me up. You can always get me on Instagram. You can get me on Twitter. It's @CupOfJoeCanada. Feel free to leave a comment in the comments section. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, smash like if you liked it, and hit the notification bell, because apparently that's a big thing on YouTube.